Okay, here we are live on YouTube. Thank you once again for joining us on another Sunday and connecting with us in this weekly session. Today's topic is intuition, so let's dive right into it. Okay, so as we go through the session, I'm going to be asking you certain questions and I want you to respond to it in the chat or in the comment, depending on wherever you've connected with us, either on Zoom or on YouTube. All right. So I'm going to start off by first, giving you some situations and just asking you whether you resonate with it, whether it is something that you have experienced before. So just type a yes in the chat if you have. All right. So, have you ever been in a situation where you've had a sense that, this is the best decision to make? Maybe it's about hiring someone or when you knew you had to make a career change. Or have you ever had a feeling or a sense about a situation or a person? Maybe you knew that something was wrong with your child, or maybe you knew that you could just trust this particular person. Or were you ever in a situation where you were thinking about someone and they suddenly just called you up and said the same thing that you were thinking about? Yeah, I see a few yes here. And these are just some examples of how intuition comes into play in our day to day lives. Okay. And we'll move further from here and just try and look at the other areas where intuition also comes into play. It's not just something that we use in our day to day lives for making small decisions, but it's really used to make very critical decisions in heavy circumstances by many leaders as well. So let me give you some examples. Healthcare researchers found that experienced dentists often relied on their intuition to take decisions in time bound situations. And decisions that were taken quickly, with obviously, the years of knowledge that they had, turned out to be more accurate than decisions otherwise taken based purely on logic and on evidence. Okay, talk about business, right? Businessmen and entrepreneurs have credited intuition to some of the very major successful decisions that they have taken in their lives. Let me give you some examples like Henry Ford when he decided to double the salary of his employees, or Travis Kalanick when he decided to introduce surge pricing at Uber. In fact, one of the former presidents of Lenovo, when asked about the key thumb rules that he used in making decisions on the people, strategic, and on himself areas, the one thing that was common in the rule of thumb across all these three areas was trust your intuition. Let's talk about stockbroking. There is even a book called Intuitive Investor, and intuition plays a very big role for stockbrokers while making decisions. And in fact, the Wall Street Journal used to run this annual competition where they had a group of expert brokers, versus another group of journalists who basically did not have any or much knowledge about how the market worked, and both would invest according to their set of knowledge that they have. Obviously, experts did it in the logical methodological way, in how they knew how to do it, whereas the amateurs, they just intuitively selected some shares. This contest was eventually pulled off after many years because every time the experts would lose badly, right? So these are just some examples to showcase to you that intuition is not just something that you use to trust someone off the bat or make a decision. Sometimes it's also used on a very high level, for making critical business decisions by people and organizations and leaders. Okay, so I want to hear from you. What is intuition according to you? So make sure you drop in a comment, or just add it in the chat in our Zoom call here, and let me know what does intuition mean according to you. And I'm going to go further and eventually read all of your responses. So every time you have a feeling that this is the right thing to do, that is your gut feeling. Every time you feel that my heart is saying that I should do this, it's your sixth sense. And every time you feel that, there's this idea that just came into my head and I just knew it, it's an insight. Okay, so there are various forms and ways in which your intuition would try to communicate to you. It can be different for different people, it can be in multiple ways for the same person. But essentially, intuition is just a direct knowing or an inner knowing without thinking through, without consciously thinking through on a matter or area where you're going to take a decision, right? So now the question arises, which is something that a lot of people ask, that we know intuition works. We know that intuition actually has a very great amount of intelligence that we can utilize for our benefit. But why does it not work? Sometimes it's spot on sometimes, but a lot of times my intuition doesn't work. I don't get it right. So what to do about it? When we let our doubt, our self doubt, our fears and insecurities come into play, whenever we are feeling something intuitively, our intuition gets diluted. And then, when you take a decision based on the intuition plus fear, intuition plus doubt, intuition plus insecurity, that is when the outcome of your decision would not be spot on. Okay, so people in high stress environments or people suffering from depression or anxiety, they might not be able to channel their intuition, they might not be able to listen to it, or even if they intuitively feel something, the result of following that intuition, which is actually intuition plus some other factors like doubt and security, it doesn't work out for the best and it's not spot on. Okay, and even if a person is not, say, suffering from depression or anxiety, if they let in self doubt or comparison with other people or a judgmental attitude overcome them, then in these kind of scenarios intuition might really be off for a toss. Okay, and so you would want to know, what can you do to strengthen your intuition? Okay, the very first thing is to recognize that your intuition speaks to you. Okay, intuition isn't something loud and demanding, it's like a subtle communication that comes from within, and it communicates differently with different people. Okay, for example, some of you might receive visual messages like flash of visual images, or it might be like a trail of slow moving movie in terms of an image that you probably see before your eye, before your mind's eye. You might suddenly be reminded of some song, and maybe the lyrics of that song actually make sense to you in some way. Or maybe your intuition speaks to you like as a hunch, maybe in thoughts or words. You might even be able to have a dialogue with your intuition and try to get more clarity on what is coming out from within. Your intuition might also speak to you in physical sensations. You might get goosebumps, you might not feel comfortable in a particular surrounding, or you might feel relief, or you might get some kind of a taste in your mouth. You might receive intuitive messages through your emotions, such as you might feel uneasy or confusion, or your inner wisdom might be telling you that this is really not the way to go and you need to shift out from here. Or you might feel a sense of euphoria or profound peace before you've even started a project, and that is probably telling you that this is the right path that you need to follow. Sometimes intuition is simply that deep sense of knowing, that certainty, that if you've ever felt that something is true in the deep depths of your heart and soul, that is intuition trying to get your attention and tell you and direct you in a particular way. So that is one. Another is to know that your intuition actually comes from your subconscious mind. Okay, and the biggest obstacle in the path of communication to your subconscious mind is your conscious mind. And so what you need to do is you need to shut off your conscious mind or just quieten it a bit. And how we do it is through meditation. That is what we do a lot on this channel. And you can even check out the third eye chakra meditation that we have done earlier, a visualization. It's a very good practice for harnessing that intuition. And just meditation through breath work or mindfulness meditation is really going to help you to calm down your conscious mind, which is basically the originator of all doubt, fear, judgment. And it's going to allow your subconscious mind to speak to you. Other things that you can do apart from meditation and just knowing that your intuition exists is pay attention to your dreams. When we're in a state of dream, and especially when we're sleeping at night, our conscious mind is at rest, but our subconscious mind is working. And so the images that we see in a dream, any scenarios, anything that we experience, any feelings that we experience, are ways of our subconscious mind to bring to surface certain things that need our attention. And that is also a way intuition speaks to you. Another way that you can explore to work with your intuition is to work with oracle cards or tarot cards, right? So for example, I have one card in front of me right here for you. And if you have been following me on Instagram or on Facebook, you would have definitely seen this card spread yesterday. I added it to my story. And basically oracle cards are just anything like books that are written by different authors. They have different themes. This is from the Spirit Animal Wisdom Oracle deck. And all you need to do is get a deck for yourself, shuffle it up, pull out a card, and read it intuitively, right? And when I say read a card intuitively, what I mean by that is, you just look at the imagery on the card. What are the colors? What does it speak to you? For example, we have a hedgehog here. And so, what does this speak to me? Well, it speaks to me probably about protection because it's got a lot of spikes on its back. I also see a lot of flowers and just a very garden image, which makes it look like a very relaxed environment. And so, probably the message that I am getting from here is I need to relax, I need to let down my guard, and just need to go with the flow. So, I'm just giving you an example. And this is something you can do, work with other kind of intuitive practices and sciences. Tarot reading is one of them, and there are many others in the space of astrology, healing, and all of that. So you can definitely consider exploring a bit of it as a hobby, and it would really serve as like a way in which you can harness your intuition. And same goes with art and painting and other kind of performing arts like music and dance and all of that. A huge amount of intuition is required in all of those. And when you do tasks repeatedly, what happens is you are putting your conscious mind in a track, and that's when it stops interfering with doubt and other kind of judgments, and you can let your subconscious mind come to the forefront, speak to you, and bring to your attention what it thinks you need. All right. And coming to the last 2 points that I have about what you can do to strengthen your intuition, while definitely going forward doing these things is essential and important, it's also important to release any resistance that you have. Don't call yourself crazy if you get an intuitive hunch, or oftentimes your cognitive mind will argue and try to submiss your intuition. And by trying to rationalize yourself, you are just dimming the light of the intuition that is coming out and trying to communicate something to you. So let go of any resistance that you have towards intuition. And lastly, train your intuition. Keep on working on it. Try and recognize it every time you take notice of something that worked according to your intuition, is giving it acknowledgement, is actually affirming that it is there, it is correct. And that is when you are building a stronger relationship with your intuition, and it's going to work better for you in a much more strong manner. Okay, so that's all that I have to share with you today. Let me know what you think in and what you can do in order to strengthen your intuition. Let me know what are you going to follow from now. Put it down in the comments. And for now, we're going to go back to our Zoom call and have a discussion with the community members who've joined today. So thank you for connecting. Relationship with your intuition and